All right. Hey, Boxer Paint, hi! Hope it's been a good weekend so far. Yeah, not too bad. How about you? Hey! Okay, so I'm gonna try to say your name right, okay? Neve? Oh my gosh. But hi! I hope you guys can hear me. Would be pretty silly if you couldn't. Perfect, a blessing. Yay! It's such a pretty name. It's been pretty quiet here, and just been spinning my wheels, trying to find something to keep my. I need a bit better setup. This is the Yep. Yeah, well, okay, that will have to do anyway. I'll try to think of something not during a stream, but yeah, the way I can read chat is a bit difficult right now. There's a couple of things in the way, and the text is so small. Alright, so there's one thing I... Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Ooh, yeah, that sounds about right. Sorry about that. So, what I wanted to say was, one thing I wanted to do today was perhaps to do kind of a brain dump to make some order in my thoughts about videos, like reviews and stuff. Because I have a good to-do list of videos, but I can't seem to figure out where to start. So I think if I made myself sort of a checklist of all the steps, that would probably help, right? At least I would have a plan to follow. And I know I've done my fair share of reviews, but the way my brain works, I guess, it just forgets stuff, even if I've done it a lot. So that's why I think it might help to redo this. And also, since this is a live stream, I can also ask you guys what's the kind of content you really enjoy in art supplies videos. Not necessarily reviews, but a bit of everything. So I'm just gonna title this Brain Dump. Leo, hi. Hello. Part of my wheel spinning was to do just that. I made the big high-level projects from across the house and then broke each of those down in achievable chunks. Now the really hard part, getting the info. Oh, sorry, getting them into the diary. Yeah, and not forgetting about the diary. I don't know if you guys have this issue, but whenever I try to plan and use my planner, I might be able to use it for a couple of weeks in a row, but there will eventually be a point where I will just forget about it entirely. Like if I had the really solid spot to always put it open in my face, that might work, but since I changed my computer setup, it's a bit more difficult. Like the space where I used to, like, my current computer is smaller, but I have to set things up a bit different on my desk, so I don't have the same area to put my planner open. Oh, scheduling it. Yeah. Just had some minor surgery. Oh no, and heavily sedated. But saw the notification, so just stepping in the way. Hello. Oh my gosh, I hope you feel better soon. I hope it heals quickly. I am loopy. That's fine. Enjoy the ride. Yeah, I hope it heals super quickly. Let's go. Or, incidentally, another question to ask would be, what parts of art supplies videos that you don't enjoy? Like, I put stuff in them, but there's never really any kind of feedback in the sense of like, oh, this part was really fun or whatever, or this part wasn't fun, you know. So I just do whatever, but alright, so maybe first is, you know, to just show item. How do we feel about unboxing it or unwrapping it? And at some point we kind of have swatches. Have you thought about doing more vids surrounding your sketchbook, like Sketch With Me? I mean, I've thought about it, of course, because I've seen those. I just... I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people would watch that. Unboxing is all good, but sometimes, example 48 pan palette, it can be a little much. Oh yeah, you need to speed up the... So I guess like keeping it short and sweet. I like seeing nice packaging or when sellers give extras, but yes, with boxes. Okay, cool. That's good. I feel like being able to see the packaging and the opening of the thing kind of feeds into the living vicariously through someone else. Like when I watch videos and the thing is already like all unwrapped, all used. Not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like there's always a little bit missing in that feeling of getting the item and looking at it for the first time, you know. I watched someone unbox recently and it's hard to explain, but they spent too much time going over things I wasn't interested in and no time on the ones that I did. Oh no. See, that's kind of always the concern, I feel like. Like I will film things and I try to put it the info, but I kind of struggle to figure out what I would consider interesting. And I had a paint that was heavy granulating, but also called it transparent. My brain broke for an hour. No! I kind of feel like you need to send that to me so that I can listen to it and be like, what the? No, that's not. Ah! What art content do you enjoy watching? That's a very good question. I like when I find like very skilled artists that I like a lot that do I don't know what's the word for it. Hold on. Okay, I had to ask for the help for the word, but it's like signings. You know, when a comic comes out or a whatever, like in French we have those the bande dessinée, the bigger books. You have conventions and everything, and you can meet the artists, and they will draw something in the book. And watching them draw that is really fascinating, I feel like. Apologies for not having more direct answers. Not skirting it, but I've always enjoyed videos. I feel like you give the people what they're after. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Maybe I need to rewatch a few of my videos, but nah, I don't think I could. It's so much more difficult to watch one's own videos than someone else's. Yeah, during conventions, you know, like whether it's something like a Comic-Con or a more like European style convention, the artists will be tabling there. And there's often a way that you can get them to draw like a sketch in your comic. And it's meant to be something that is drawn, you know, kind of fast. It's not a fully rendered piece, because those are technically usually free, or used to be. You just have to wait. I love the way French convention artists do dédicace. Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was trying to find in English, and couldn't. But we're a group of pigment nerds and watercolor specific generally, so it can be hard to think outside of those boxes. Yeah, and also like it's something I plan on. Not that I've had a lot of occasions to do that yet, but like I often get messages about collaborations, and they're not always like watercolor paints. And even if they are, like I don't feel like these videos do all that well, so I might just you know, just kindly say no to collabs just for a little bit, just so I can possibly get some more of my own stuff out. Also, it doesn't happen a lot, but there's always a couple of instances of really weird interactions. Well, in this community, because that's the one we're in. But you know, you make a video about acrylic gouache, and you show it in the video, and you specify that you cannot re-wet acrylic gouache because it's acrylic paint, and there will undoubtedly be a comment somewhere, someone say, "But you can re-wet those," and you're like, "Have you tried?" Because no, you can't. You just can't. It's plastic. You know. Hey, Otto! Hello! Are we talking about video ideas? Did you see Alpi FA's video about art? Wait. I'm trying to read between items, so it's not always easy. Hold on. Did you see Alpi FA's video? How art videos are being suppressed by trash art? No, I haven't. Hold on. I'll check that after the stream. What are you up to in this stream? I'm trying to make a list of like a checklist of stuff to put in videos so that I can get back in the groove of it. I feel like I've forgotten how to make them, which is why I'm struggling to film them. But I have a lot of things that I want to try out and play with and make videos about, but I just can't seem to get started. So I figured I would do a kind of a brain dump, and also having you guys in the chat can be helpful if you have like preferences or thoughts about whatever I'm mentioning, like if there are things you like or really don't like in videos about art supplies or paint or whatnot. I feel like the all the draw with me, sketch with me videos, they do well if you already have a significant audience, but the ones I've personally done in the past, they didn't do all that well. Like maybe there was issues with them. Perhaps it's I don't know. I need it's been a while, so I need to see what I put in there and why they were less interesting. But yeah, unless it's a specific challenge or maybe fan art, I don't feel like the people who follow me, my subscribers, they would click on that video all that much. Art that is more like maybe a fun activity for kids, but not really art. Like, oh, I see, like the kind of meme trends and stuff, right? It was a YouTuber who said it, but not like someone going through the painting process. It's put these ingredients in the microwave and get a cake type videos that are considered. Hey Dominic, hi. Mostly shorts that are art but done for short attention. Well, that's that thing that the algorithm rewards. They really want you to do whether it's shorts on YouTube or reels on Instagram or TikToks or I'm old. I don't know. All of those. 5 minutes crafts of the art world. Yeah, I saw one recently and it was literally that kind of stuff. Like the person would take a plastic bag and like make a knot, then sort of put a bit of air in the bag so that it would make kind of a small balloon, and then put paint on it, and the kid would stamp it and it would do like flower shapes, and then the kid would use a Q-tip to do the inside of the flower. And I'm like, yeah, that's interesting, that's cute craft idea for, you know, rainy days with kids, I guess. But that's the stuff that gets the views. That's not no one, quotation marks, watches actual art videos. You kind of need a bit of a gimmick in there. Well, apparently the algorithm promotes people who keep people watching rather than long art videos that you might save for later. So maybe like, I'll write it down, shorter vids. What's a length that when you see it appear in your subscription or whatever, you go like, oh, that's good, I'm gonna watch it? Or is it really relevant as much as the subject of the video? For me, it really depends. Like, if a video has a great bit in the middle that's just music over sped up footage of someone painting, I'm skipping that. Because I often like draw or work or like multitask and like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I don't care about that kind of videos, music choices. Like, it's not something that I want to listen to. If I want to listen to something, I will choose it myself, you know. So that's something that I try not to do because I know I don't enjoy that. So sometimes I see a video that's like half an hour and I'm like, oh, nice, a half an hour about this palette or something. And then it's 7 minutes of content and 23 minutes of sped up footage with royalty-free music, which is not my jam. I guess there are many more little kids making art than adults making art. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. I'm just trying to think of, because you get a lot of art trends too, like if anyone remembers scrapbooking, and then there was card making, and you know, there's always a kind of a crafty, artsy trend for adults. And the other side is people are stealing artists' video of drawing, painting, etc., and then slapping over their own totally unrelated commentary. Why? Why? Alpine mentioned how even Jazza has gone towards a more showy... Oh, is that... Jazza has been doing the meme trendy stuff for a bit now. I'm not surprised. Jazza is kind of a special case in the sense that he has a really huge audience and a lot of pressure is on him because that's how he, like, I think he's the only income in his family, and he has a substantial family, like wife and kids and, you know, house and mortgage and payments and all that. So it's got to be a bit more stressful, and YouTube is so much of a roller coaster that you cannot exactly anticipate what the next month is going to be. It's got to be extra stressful. I don't envy him for that. I like the format of comfortable chatting while the artist creates something, maybe shows some new brand or materials or techniques. Basically this. Oh, okay. A bit like a live stream, but showcasing new stuff. That's interesting. I may be weird, but when I'm watching people art, I'm trying to learn how they use their medium so I can try out new techniques and things. That's what I do too. I feel like the stuff I've learned was mostly self-taught, so I'm always on the lookout for, you know, people painting but at the same time, if it's a really drawn out long video of that, it's just not compelling enough. I do enjoy snarky, funny art videos like Bill making stuff, but it looks like a ton of production work. check that out. I don't think I've seen that channel before. No, I think it's just more kids who have more free time to spend online than adults who work. Oh, that also. Yes, I for sure don't blame Jezza if that's what he has to evolve into for the sake of family and his workers. Yeah, he has it. Does he have employees too? Oh my gosh. It sounds so stressful. Ah, poor Jezza. A lot of the videos I feel like are really interesting. You get Tori, like Victoria Gedvillis. She does great videos where you see her paint and she does a commentary over it. And it's just so fascinating because you see how she works the paints and the brush and all that. I feel like Mini Small also has aesthetically pleasing videos, or at least she did last time I watched her videos. Bill making stuff makes 3D art basically from trash. Oh, that sounds so cool. I fell into a bit of a rabbit hole a small while ago where I found a channel of someone taking old dressers and drawers and, you know, old... I can't think of the word. Des meubles. What's meuble in English? Anyway, and would like strip them, clean them, fix them, like stain or paint them again, and, you know, refinish them completely. And it's just so fascinating to see someone take, you know, something that has a really good structure, but it's just worn out and a bit busted, and fix it and make it into something really cool looking. Furniture, thank you. Damn, that word was really, really far off. Arlie Bean. Yeah, Arlisha does super nice videos too. And she had a video recently about how it's difficult to work with YouTube as an artist. Speaking of, like, I need to watch Alpai Hefe's video, but I feel like it's maybe similar in certain aspects. Hey, for someone who's quite loopy, Cleo, you're you're more there than I am. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and the dude who was refinishing the furniture is in Ontario. So it was it's always interesting to find a YouTuber that is from the same country as you are, because you start noticing stuff like how all the products he uses have both French and English on them, or like he will go to a specific store that I'm like, oh, I know that, you know, that kind of stuff. He would roam Facebook Marketplace for inexpensive or free furniture and pick it up and try to fix it. And what you can't fix, he would basically strip for parts. So there's a lot of reuse in his craft. Like he needs to make a new door for something. Well, he will find a kind of a piece of wood in his garage that is the leftover from another furniture that didn't pan out and all that. That's super fun. It's fascinating, and I really respect that craft. But oh my gosh, you need space and so much stuff to be able to do that. The meds are wearing down, but I have to take another pill soon. Oh. Painkillers? Heavy duty painkillers. Oof. I like to talk about the color selection in sets. Also, I don't want to... Sorry, I'm thinking and just rambling at the same time, but I don't want to make my videos too much like someone else's. So, like, I work a lot with Otto's video, and I don't want to, you know, copy your videos. Sorry, gross. I find demos are difficult to film in an interesting way. Unless you have a really interesting setup already. You know, sometimes I watch Furry Little Peach's video, like Sean, and Rocket, her partner, is a photographer. So they're really decked out in like cameras and photos, and it makes it a bit easier to, you know, film stuff. And yeah, that's not everyone's situation either. So I basically have one camera and it's my phone. And I live in a cave, so lighting is always a bit difficult. It's an art competition, a selection of artists who are sculptors, painters, etc., who follow a prompt related to the current culture. Ooh. Last prompt was about social media. Oh my gosh, that sounds like art school. Your streams look clear and well lit, but no cat cam. I only have one well, okay, for streaming I use a webcam. And before COVID, I had a spare webcam that I could use for cat cams, but with COVID and working from home, the spare webcam is used for Mr. E's work. So I don't have a cat cam anymore. I have cats today though. Both cats are in the studio. Sleeping. Yeah, the only issue with the streams is the quality of the camera. That, you know, I really have a bone to pick with webcams in general, because they are so not that they lie on the packaging, but they are so manipulative on the packaging. Like, it will tell you, oh, this camera is, you know, 1080p and it's super good for streaming and super nice and crisp and clear. And that's only true if you take photos with the webcam. If you want to film with the webcam, which is what we use webcams for. Who takes photos with webcams? Seriously. But yeah, if you use it for filming, then the top, like the maximum resolution is 720p. Which is, you know, kind of a visible difference from 1080. And you have to almost buy the item to figure that out. And yeah, since I have I have two webcams, I have this one and a spare one. And in both cases, it was like that. They sell them as like, oh, it has this super cool resolution and it's not even for filming. And I'm like, what? Just say that. Oh my gosh. Just be more clear about, you know, the specs on the packaging. And aside webcams, I don't know what people use for streaming. I don't know if you can use a DSLR for streaming, but if you can, that's a price bracket that's much, much higher than a webcam. Sorry, trying to finish my tea before it's cold. All right. So I guess I should eventually get also into my stuff and make a list of all the stuff I want to make videos about. That would also help. I remember hearing that the best equipment to have is a webcam. It's good lighting. You can have a bad webcam and the lighting will probably help tons. Yes and no. Of course, it helps if you have decent lighting for everything, of course, but that's another thing that's kind of tricky to purchase is decent lighting. I've gone through quite a few lighting setups, and I'm unhappy with the current one, but I mean, hey Paulo, hey. So yeah, we need a more like explicit way of selling these products to the casual user. For example, if I'm buying a filming or a photography light and it's described in like wattage or I don't know what and lumens and this and that, but they never show any good reference of it, and all the photos are photoshopped to make it look super bright, and you kind of have to buy it and to plug it and to you know, start it to be like, oh, this is not exactly bright actually. So I wish they would advertise stuff like, this is stupid bright, this is so bright you'll go blind, you know, and that the way they present it is actually genuine. And like on Amazon, all the resellers and all the, you know, the Chinese companies that basically sell the same item but with a different brand name on it, like they're not, I don't think they're fully honest with this stuff. They don't care, or they just want to sell you, you know, something. Lighting is super tricky. Fluorescent and most LED lights do strange things to my head, and that's the affordable. Oh yeah, yikes. If you can set it up to have natural light, that's, you know, the best. Sorry, I drank my tea too fast. Ugh. But yeah, I don't think I've seen anyone fully able to just film with natural lighting and that's it. So many clearly fake photos on Amazon products and the same product with a different weird company name. Exactly! Exactly! Maybe you might need a specific type of glasses. Wait, glasses? But yeah, that's the and then if you try to visit like all the photography websites, like local photography material shops, they basically have the same stuff you see on Amazon now. You don't get the chance to, you know, just rely on a brand or something to help you if you don't know anything about that stuff. The only advantage is if you can go to a brick and mortar shop, you can sort of see the lights before purchasing them, but I remember there was a brand of glasses for gaming that tones down. Oh, for boxa paint, yeah. Yeah, the glasses for blue lights. And also sometimes, like, I would use a more bright setup, but the camera would compensate in a way where it didn't make any difference really whether I would use a very complex and, you know, a setup that would take up a lot of space, that would technically be more bright than a setup that takes less space, that is technically more dim, but the camera adjusts and it looks the same, kind of. Also, I think the most important piece of equipment you need for making videos is a good way to record audio, like a good microphone or at least a good setup, so that it sounds good. Because if the image is not perfect, that's still easier to kind of watch, to listen to a video that has good audio than a video that has teeny, like, canny or, you know, like clippy audio, in my opinion anyway. We were in the Netherlands and I had a panic attack because they had LED spotlights every 2 feet in the train station, and I could, oh no, yeah, you're not lucky for that. They're slowly putting even more LEDs everywhere. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, well, I guess that's a good start. I blame the UK. Well, I never had an issue with strobe lights or anything until I moved here and drove through the woods on a sunny day. And it's never been the same. Oh no! Yeah, that's very stroby. Like, sometimes it gets like that when we go biking in the summer, and we have a park not too far from here that is basically like the bike lane, whatever. And then there's a teeny tiny space, there's a fence, and there's a couple of trees, and then it's water. So depending on what time of the day you go bike there, if the sun is like getting down and you go super fast on this lane and the trees and the sun, and it's very stroby and so hard to kind of still pay attention to what's in front of you, because your eyes go so rapidly from bright sunlight to less sunlight that you can't really focus on anything. The trees are spaced exactly right to make it like you're at the disco. So, okay, last video related question, and then I'll think of something else to do, but can you guys bring to mind any kind of segments or stuff in videos that you really don't like, or that you just don't find useful, or skip? Advertisements? Oh no. I'm thinking. Lately, it has been a pain to watch videos on YouTube due to ads every 5 minutes. Well, I mean, you can always get an ad blocker or pay for YouTube Premium. I guess those are the two ways to dodge all the ads. I have rage quit watching a lot of videos because of that. I think I don't mind a well-integrated advertisement, but not a cookie cutter ad just transitioned in. Well, what do you mean? Like the what kind of ads? The one that YouTube will automatically put in the videos at specific, timestamps, or when the video creator has a sponsor for that video and they make a ad segment? I do enjoy it when the person is able to make sponsored ad funds. Yeah, well integrated. Okay, so yeah. Over here, publicity is regulated and you cannot get ads every 5 minutes. Like Raid Shadow Legends. But they're not even playing any games. Or Raycon ads. Oh my gosh. Comment Etiquette with Eric does really good sponsored ad integration. I don't always watch them because sometimes I just don't like skits. Are not for me in general. So whenever it's a kind of a skit integrated ad, I'm always like blah and skip it. I often skip them anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's different. Those are different. Like the sponsorship is kind of different from AdSense. Hey, Ellen! Oh my gosh! Lengthy intros. Anything longer than 20 seconds is ridiculous for a video fewer than 10 minutes long. Oh, that's a good one. think the best ad integration I've seen is June and Rachel with Sakurako. Yeah, well, they just... Sakurako is the snack box, right? So they just try the snacks and eat it. I mean, that's fine. No skits. Oh no, the skits are very difficult to do right. Very, very difficult. I have also been shying away from moody videos. What is that? What do you call a moody video? We got YouTube Premium in deal, but it's worth the money. I don't mind adding the intro. There's timestamp for each segment. Timestamps. I think the one feature I think is the most valuable of YouTube Premium is to be able to have it on your phone and have it run in the background. That's so super. Like, take a walk and you don't like press a bunch of stuff while your phone is in your bag or your pocket. People that use... Hold on. Lusty raspy... Oh my gosh, Paulo, what kind of videos have you been stumbling upon? Or that everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of the team. Everything is awesome. No, okay. For reals. I know, right? Boxify. Sometimes I struggle to, like, on the days where I don't have Mr. E to kick my butt to go outside for a walk. Oftentimes I will just be like, okay, let me find a video and I will listen to that while I'm walking, and it's kind of the kick in the butt. I need to go out and walk. And I couldn't really do that without, you know, the feature. I'm talking about art-related video. I don't want to point fingers. I guess I just haven't really stumbled upon any of those artists, so I guess I'm not mad about that. Oh, music in the background, that's so really loud. I can handle soft ambient music sound, but not loud music. Yeah, music is... I find music super tricky. Because I think I kind of prefer when there's not a lot of music, but I like when there's a bit of a, you know, just a teeny bit of a super, like, catchy song thingy without any lyrics. When something is sped up for just a brief amount of time. Let's say there's some content that you don't want to run full time because it's not exactly useful, but you don't want to cut out altogether because there's a bit of info there that might be interesting to see, or like it brings, you know, the thing from A to B to C, so you don't want to just cut it off. You want to let it in so people can see how you did the thing, but it's not good to see it like full time, full speed. And I like whoop, compressing it, like speeding it up and adding just a bit of a song that you can like groove for 30 seconds and then it goes back to the video. Ambient music that's too intrusive. And I feel like one of the main issue with music is unless you find a good track that is just enough generic, like that is the perfect mix of being absolutely generic that no one can really go like, ugh, not that, ugh, I hate that. Like, you know, something a bit like elevator music-y. That everybody will just be like, meh, okay, fine. At the worst, and at best they'll be like, oh, that's catchy, you know? But sometimes, I think it has happened in a couple of Sean's video that I would just cringe when the music would pick up because I was like, oh, I don't like that song. Are you referring to Vocal Fry, Paulo? Think how the Kardashians and other influencers speak. raspy sound at the back of the throat. Anabira channel has that constant music, but it doesn't bother me for whatever reason. It seems to be the right amount of perky. And yeah, and if it's just like, you know, really low volume in the background. I'm more thinking when people are speaking. If the music is louder than the speaker, I'm like, oh well, yeah, duh. I can't hear you. I had to check that vocal fry. I had to check what vocal fry was because I had never heard that term before. Vocal fry is annoying. Vocal fry. I hope I don't do it on a regular basis. Like, have a nice hot cup of tea, warm up the vocal cords, then record your video. That's a fair point. And you don't. Okay. Whew. That's a relief. I remember hearing it in a couple of videos, and yeah, I'm kind of fine if I don't notice it. Like, I may watch the whole video, and if my brain doesn't sort of latches on to the vocal fry, I'll be able to, you know, watch the full video. But if I kind of gain awareness of it, it's really hard to finish the video. Reminds me of the comment etiquette video about finishing every sentence like it's a question, even if it's not a question. One of my pet peeves in video is when people say stuff that is not true, but it's kind of a difficult thing that is not necessarily consistent all the time. You know, some people will always be generally good with their info, and some people should really stick to something else than theory. And it's fine. It's fine. We all remember that lady who was like, oh, but the Sennelier series tubes, it's basically the quality. So series 1 is the cheaper paints, like for kids and students, and the series 4, like for professionals. And you're like, how does that make any sense, you know? I feel that some folks just have it and it works for them. When it's put on purposely as an effect in a voice, then I can't let it go. You can tell when folks are doing it on purpose. I'll have to pay attention to that. I haven't noticed. But I'm not a native English speaker either, so there might be something that I'm missing here. Oh my god, I had almost forgotten that Sennelier Dramarama. That was so stupid. So bad. I've heard so many bad takes about what series, when it comes to watercolor paint, means. And it's always been from people who, you know, had experience, and I just don't get it. I miss the Sennelier Dramarama, look at me, I guess. Depends on if you like that kind of drama, but yeah, it was silly and funny. And we kind of... I made a whole reaction live stream, whatever, to it back then. I took a different situation, but I took a class one. It was a free class with a professional painter. And according to him, Sorry, this series meant the amount of pigment in a paint. Like if you had a series 4, it would be more pigmented than a series 1. Which, how do you paint professionally with that notion in your head? And when you practice painting and you paint with like a series 1 phthalo color, how do you not question that information? Like, oh, I have manganese violet, which is a series, I don't know, 4, and phthalo dioxazine purple, which is, let's say, a series 1, just for the sake of this exercise. And like dioxazine purple is so pigmented, it's almost black in mass tone. And manganese violet is very difficult to get a good value range with. How do you have that idea in your brain and reconcile it with your practice? I don't get it. That is something so dumb to say. I know. Out of 100+ colors as a professional artist, I can only use 7. It's really jarring. There was silly. Hey Val, there was, but quite some time ago. This is old cold tea. What kills me is that so many artists I know who are doing well use student grade paints. The oil painter who is my side hustle boss, she uses Winton almost exclusively. Yeah, it's not like I mean, it's fine. I understand it. It's okay. People, they want the professional paints because it does help, especially if you're beginning, because it removes a lot of the issue that you don't know how to address yet. Like, you don't have to worry about value if you use super pigmented paints, because they will offer you a better range of values than if you try to get super dark colors with cheap student paints. You know, there's an advantage to using professional paints, but that said, if you already know what you're doing, if you're already a professional artist, if you've put all that mileage in, you can take student supplies and do masterpieces with them. It's not relevant at that point. But yeah, trying to learn with supplies that have very bad shortcomings is difficult. What I found strange is how that notion ended up on someone's mind. That too. I worked out series all by myself because the Winsor Newton display makes it very clear that the higher the series... Yeah, same. You get to the display of whatever two paints, any paint, and you look at it and it's just like a bunch of tubes and you're like, okay, what's the price? And you look around and you find that price display that's probably the same in almost every shop. It's a sheet and you have like brand paint and you have like, oh, series 1 price X, series 2 price X plus $3, series 3 price, anyway, you know, and you're like, okay, so I guess, I mean, it's just logic. You grab the tube you're interested in and you sort of look around to try to find any kind of series information, and it's on there. So you just go, oh, and sometimes it's even written on the display, like every spot for the tubes has its series written there, so you know what to look for. Because it seemed that person was ill-informed, or maybe it might be confounding information. I think it matters more in watercolor. I found a big difference between student and professional watercolor, less so when using student or professional acrylics. Like, I can imagine series 1 pigment probably has more studies gone into. What? No. If anything, the series is not relevant to the difficulty in, mixing the pigment and the paint. It's just relevant to the price of the pigment. So you can have inexpensive pigments like Prussian blue, which is usually quite inexpensive, but it's a pain in the ass to incorporate into paint. So anyway, the big companies have the rollers and all the thingies, and they don't have to, put any elbow grease in there, almost. So yeah, it's not even relevant to that. It's really just about the price of the pigment in the paint you're purchasing, which is why cadmiums, cobalts are always the higher series. And if you get into something like Daniel Smith, then you will have like lapis lazuli. That's a series of a gajillion, you know. So the higher series is a more simple recipe and ends up with more pigment than a refined. No, it was cobalt turquoise that showed me. Cobalt turquoise. Oh, it's such a pretty color. Like those stupid granulating colors. You wonder forever if they're worth the stupid price point, and then you finally get to try one and you're like, oh no, I love this. Whoops, time for my next round of pills. The painkiller, it's pretty hard. So I should say bye and sign off. Oh, I hope you get better quickly, Cleo. Yeah, speedy recovery. Oh my gosh. $50 per tube. Ellen, that's painful. I will not operate heavy machinery such as typing in the I think it's time for a nap. No, I'll totally agree that pigment price is a reason for the series, but if you want to argue about higher series having more pigment, then I could be... Yeah, but the thing is like that level of information to convince you that higher series have more pigment is akin to saying that the paint fairies do it. There's nothing to substantiate the claim, whether it's in the experience of the paint or in the way like paint is made. So you really have to be out on a limb with no previous knowledge of how paint works to come up with something that might justify that theory. Does that make sense? Fructose you're selling a 16 by 20 piece for 6,000. Oh my gosh, $50 for a tube of paint isn't much. No, it's covered by the selling price of the item. Oh my gosh. In my shop, one of my least expensive pigments take the absolute longest to mold, circa days, not hours. So the price is high on my shop, but as blood, sweat, tears, not to buy more. Yeah. That's the one that when you run out of this pigment, you never do it again. I know that's Hollywood roll though. Try to make paints that you don't like give yourself tendonitis making. And if someone wants the really difficult paint, they can buy like from the companies that have big rollers to do all the mixing. I think even if it was true though, the difference in pigment would probably be negligible. Nickel Azo Yellow is one of my favorite paints I've ever made, but good gracious, it was exhausting. Oh yeah, once you try making your own paint, you realize just why it's a commercial thing mostly. Like I get it, and I don't, you know, I don't care that much about phthalo green to make it by myself. I'll just buy it if I need it. But yeah, the funniest thing about making art contents on YouTube is when you take all this time to source info and you do research and you include all that in the video, and there's still someone in the comments being like, well, that's not true. That's not how this works. And you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Bye. But the cobalts make a lot of sense to make yourself because the pigment is expensive but cheaper than a tube. And you get much more payout. And they're easier to do often. Like you don't want to overmold them so they lose all the granulation anyway. And they usually mix very smoothly. Unlike most of the super staining colors that are usually a pain in the ass to work. all the more opaque granulating colors are usually easier to work. Not always, but you know. I feel like my main issue why I'm not making paints anymore is I don't have the space for it, and I struggle with sourcing binder. I hate making it myself, even if it's the more cost-efficient way. But you end up using so much of it that I always need to order more, and it's annoying. So unrelated, has anyone heard about Winsor Newton discontinuing Aureolin? Because I'm not seeing it on the Collard price list. Oh, I haven't heard about that. My only thought is about time. But yeah. Cobalts are only more dangerous if you're eating your paint. Don't eat your paint. And wash your hands before you do. And usually people wear a mask or, you know, a filter of some kind while working pigment. I haven't heard anything about that. PV19? No. What are the rumors about PV19? If they tell me that PV19 is going out, that's unbelievably dramatic. Because, whoa, PV19, first of all, it represents such a wide range of hues. But also, it's everywhere. No. Then I am not telling you. What's the rumor? Oh, hold on, I gotta... I'm just sitting here comfortable with my Sakurakoi hue paints. I mean, PV19 is not my favorite magenta, full disclaimer. Favorite magenta is PV42 because it's consistent, you know. You buy PV42, it's usually always the same hue. Whereas if you buy any kind of quinacridone rose or quinacridone pink made with PV19, you might get a different hue depending on the brand, you know. It seems that quinacridones are all being discontinued. Why? Why? What the f... I'll be right back. Okay. That's so weird. Time to panic buy some pigments. I don't know if Otto is still around, because Otto is good with that knowledge, but yeah, I'm trying to think of all the colors that are in the quinacridone family. So here I have Quin Magenta, which is PR122, so that might be one. That would be so weird. So we would be, well, Quin Gold is already like gone, but you still have like the more orange brown colors and the reddish brown colors, and then all the Quin Rose, Quin Red, Quin Magenta, Quin Purple. Hey Charlotte, hi. Don't know. Paulo just dropped this rumor in, but it needs to be researched a bit more. Why would they stop making quinacridones though? What are they gonna replace these colors with? It's not like there's a gajillion magenta pigments. What brands are we talking about? Not a specific brand, just a specific pigment family. I don't want to start a panic. And so few that are light fast. Yeah, PO49, that was Queen Gold. I think PO48 is on a chopping block. PR206. So what else is there's been quite a few lately, like it's surprising. But I can figure out easier in my brain the discontinuation of, you know, colors that we have variations of already, like orange brown, reddish brown. We can find substitutes for these somewhat, but we don't have many magentas. As in, not at all. Hold on, let me grab it. Salut, Pico. Salut, attends. Let's check this out, Pix. Okay, so this is the one chart I have handy. It's all the colors from Holbein. So I'm trying to look at what kind of magentas we have. So their Crimson Lake is a mix, so that's not, well, it has PV19 in it, so I don't know. Queen Scarlet is PR209, which is often named like Cherry Red or Scarlet. Rose Madder is the genuine, not light fast pigment. There's not really any magenta on this one. Oops. Alright, so the only sort of two magenta-ish colors that, gosh, that's bad, that Holbein has, it's Queen Red PV19 and Queen Magenta PR122. The Permanent Alizarin Crimson has PV19 in it. These are fluorescent dyes in it, so not light fast either. Well, I'm puzzled. Oops, sorry. Earlier today I learned, yeah, that was actually very sad, Val. Sad news. PR122. Well, I'm puzzled. I'm trying to do better about stocking on paints because I kind of don't like the way it's stressful and it's not exactly sustainable, and also at some point you're gonna run out anyway and you will have to think of options then, so why not do it, you know, now? But yeah, it's I wonder why. Like, I know we are mostly dependent on the car industry for most of our pigments, so it really makes me think on fuck, what's gonna happen? Should that be more than a rumor? Maybe less cars because of the computer chip shortage. Yeah, but I mean, that would be less car in general. Would you really go all the way to like stopping pigment production? Because if they did, it would mean that they have such huge stockpiles. I don't know. It's just weird. I always wonder where they kept mining for pigments. A lot of pigments are not mined. They're actually like probably made in a lab from combining stuff. Paulo would know. Even the Teslas are metal gray. Well, I've only seen white and matte black Teslas, I think. And let's face it, there are so many pigments out there that are similar to others. You can usually find an alternative, but artists tend to be set in their ways when it comes to supplies. Yeah, dude, Aurelian, anyone? It makes me laugh so much, the logic of it all, because you had old masters that would use Prussian blue, Aurelian, rose madder, genuine sap green. All these colors were not light fast. And first of all, their paintings are still there today, so... And also, like, everybody who gets their panties in a bunch over something not being light fast for a gajillion years is just so... Like, that's not a real concern. That's fake. You don't have to worry about that. Also, like how some jewelry companies make synthetic gemstones. I think so. I am inquiring Google about the quinacridone pigments and haven't found a valid reason. Okay. Whew. Yeah, I will check. Oftentimes, like one source I really like to check for that stuff is the Just Paint sort of magazine from Golden. They have it on their website. It's kind of a newsletter, but longer and bigger, and they often have really relevant paint world articles in there. So I feel like if there was something going on about a pigment as ubiquitous as PV19, they might write about it, you know. Yes, light fastness only matters if it's gonna fade in a year, like washable markers. Alcohol markers, yeah. My biggest pain in the butt is when something I stuck at the start gets discontinued and I have to oh no! It's the rearrangement that is a pain in the butt. I kind of like arranging stuff, but yeah. I've never really had to rearrange a whole paint display. Maybe that's enough of a chore that it becomes tedious. And I've learned in the process that they were the ones to introduce Quin Gold. Ooh! So they introduced the pigment and then some CEO out there went like, I'm gonna hoard it all! It's all mine! And all the other companies had to go like, oh, okay. Well, let's make do with other stuff, right? I kind of hate it. Like, I understand why, but I also hate it. Like, hoarding all that stuff, it's like... It doesn't tickle me the right way. Golden is such a good company. I love them so much. Well, the racks all have pre-printed labels as header. Oh no! And when something is discontinued, I have to tear apart the rack and make a new... Okay, I see. Yeah, that part doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Golden was the first to introduce a quinacridone gold to the market, and it quickly became a signature color for us. Until it ran out, I guess. It's not even my favorite color. Like I don't use green gold, even if it's a hue. I don't. It's just doesn't vibe for me. I kind of prefer a more orange, warm yellow. That is not as streaky or like dark in the mass tone. Anyway, but I just hate the whole concept. Besides, quinacridone gold cars is such a cool color for a car, and they've just removed it. And I used green gold a lot in the beginning, but completely forgot about the mixed versions in my palettes. I found some watercolor paper at Five Belows and I want to use it out of morbid curiosity. Well, it can be good for swatching, if anything. Like, you know, when you paint something and you want to just quickly test out your colors before putting it on a painting, the super cheap paper is great for that. It was a lot of fun to mix with, but I've found better things since. Yeah. I love Quin Gold, but I paint a lot of horses, and it's a fantastic base for chestnut, bay, buckskin, and palomino. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, like I don't use like Quin Gold, so that's why it's just not used in my practice. But I can see why someone who do a lot of botanical art would use this color, or like for horses, or... Orange is on the phone and very upset with you. You should task Paulo with making a 12 color palette that is just oranges. Just for fun. I swatched a color palette recently. Is it this one? No, that's not this one. Hold on. Reaching for swatches. I did hoard a few tubes, but I'm fully prepared to find alternatives when that eventually goes. Yeah, or you just modify your process a bit. So I hope, hold on. I gotta wait for the stream to catch up so I can see if these are on frame. A fun sound. Okay, cool, I'm in. So, pretty basic palette, as you can see. Chinese white, cad yellow light, vermilion, carmine, violet, ultramarine, Prussian blue light, viridian, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, sepia, and limp black. Check out which palette these are from. And the thing that really surprised me is, like, I put a drop on each cake and let it re-wet a bit before painting the swatches, but they came out this strong with one layer. Like, that's just one layer of paint. And then I did swatches of Roman Schmal paints, and I really love Roman Schmal, but to get the swatches to this level of intensity, I had to do 2 passes. Like, this is 2 layers of paints. And it's beautiful. Like, this is beautiful, but this is just 1 layer. Like, what the heck? So, yeah, I was just like, what? The earth tones are a bit streaky, like these three, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, sepia. But all the other colors are so, like, they're so strong. I was really surprised. I was like, what the heck? What the heck? That's good. Check this out. The Chinese white is relatively useless as a color, so okay. But all the other colors, I was like, oh my gosh, this would be fun. Well, maybe, but at the same time, all this older stuff. Like if I remember, like I have a few tubes of old Cutman paint. And they would use like PG18 for Viridian. They would use actual cadmium pigments for the cadmium colors. Like the quality was better with the old stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if this palette just uses, you know, the actual pigments or a mix of pigments. It's a Talents palette, so it's Royal Talents, the ones that do Van Gogh, Rembrandt. The binder recipe must be amazing compared to Roman. I'd imagine Roman probably just has more pigment to binder. I have some old Cutmans and they were still made in the UK. They were actually pretty darn good. Yeah, the ones I've swatched that were the older stock is really nice. Like it's completely usable. It doesn't have any of the issues that the current stock has. Like they don't feel goopy. They have a decent color payoff. They use like the real pigments. Yeah, if I remember right, Cutman used to be made in the UK, then in France, and now in China, maybe? And it's just, you know... So yeah, that's kind of what I find super interesting about vintage paints, is the ability to compare it with the newer stuff. I remember talking to a friend who is a bit older than me, and she worked in an industry that would use actual gouache for a lot of stuff. And she was talking to me about the kind of colors that were in the Winsor & Newton gouache range back then, and that there's a surprising amount of colors that no longer exist. I think the professional Winsor & Newton is made in France and the Cutman is made in China. Cutman aren't the worst. Just for the price, you might as well buy a tube of Pro Paint. At least in the UK, it might be £1 or £2 difference in price, and the sets can be really cheap. I think you're better off buying a good magenta, yellow, and cyan in Pro range rather than buying a Cutman set, personally. It means more mixing, it means using the paints perhaps a bit more quickly, but proportionately you're gonna get such a better result with the professional paints than you would with the student paints. And there's a couple of like the Cutman range is very uneven. Like I feel like their sap green is gnarly. It's really goopy. It's really hard to get to a good mass tone, but they have like a phthalo blue and the mauve that are kind of okay. The ivory black, you know, is black, so. But they have other colors that are really disappointing. Does anyone else have those daydreams about telling yourself the stuff you know and knowing how you... Wait, what? Hold on. Daydreams tell the stuff you know. now. And knowing, oh yeah, I need all the paints, but can do a decent job for what I do art-wise with a handful of color. Yeah, quite some time ago, like when I sort of started getting back into professional paints, I bought colors according to someone's list. And I didn't know a lot about colors then, and there's definitely a couple of colors in there that I would have swapped out if I had known. Namely, both Daniel Smith paints, but their French ultramarine and their Italian burnt sienna are paints that I absolutely loathe. But the regular ultramarine and the regular burnt sienna, I would have swapped those out and probably would have been a better experience. I adored the phthalo blue from Cotman, but other colors leave me wanting more. If I could tell my original watercolor bug self that I didn't need 90% of the stuff I bought, I wouldn't have listened. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Hindsight is only good if you listen to it. But I think I learned a lot from those not as good for me supplies. The thing is if you buy good quality art supplies, you can always try selling them. And the good quality stuff, you have a lot more chances of finding someone who will be interested in buying it than if you try to sell cheap student, stuff that is not that good. It's a lot easier to sell like one, hold on. Come on, brain. You can... Oh, yeah. One, nice sable brush is much easier to sell than a handful of cheap synthetics. I feel. Anyway. Yeah, sure, Val. Why not? You can maybe reuse some of them to, make custom gifts for friends. To put together their own little kit of something for their birthday or Christmas or whatnot. Student stuff isn't bad. It's when you buy the cheap stuff that verges past useful into, ew, this is gross, paint shouldn't be gross, yeah. I have worked so hard to have a selection where anyone at any point can wander into my art swamp and come out with something they can succeed and have fun with. That's a really noble goal. It's really awesome that you've put that together, honestly. I have a dresser that is dedicated solely to supplies that I will likely never use again. Ooh. Yeah. We have a maker space at my local library. They've loved my donation of unused art supplies. Donation is great. I just feel that I have to use more things that I own and stop buying stuff. Yeah, I think that's a general feeling. Because the way everything is currently set up for most of us, the focus is really on consuming more and getting more stuff rather than using up what you have. But it's not the healthy or sustainable option. If someone could please help me figure out why I'm so obsessed with the perfect travel palette when I do almost... Do you like Tetris? As a game? Hey, Mikey! Hello! Taken to making little travel palettes from my excess paint and selling them at the store. Oh, that's such a good idea. What do you put them in? Love Tetris and helping people pack. So I think we're on to something here. I'm also obsessed with travel palettes. or travel kits or travel sketchbooks. Like I have put one together that I really like as a setup, but I hardly ever use because who goes out? Anyway, it's winter. I like that idea so much, Ellen. That's so cool. It's a really good outlet to, you know, get that puzzle brain fix, but also make something awesome out of it. And you're able to sell them. It's like win on all aspects. Win, 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 win. All wins. My favorite, so far, my favorite gouache palette. Where is it? Nope. There it is. So this is my favorite gouache palette so far. In life. And it's a reused makeup palette. And I haven't found anything I like better for gouache. I think a lot of these are either M. Graham or Holbein gouache because they tend to do better when dry. They crack less, they fall out less. But yeah, this little palette has been the one I've used the most. So lots of white for gouache. Cool warm yellow, cool warm red. I have a cool warm blue. I have a kind of a smalt blue. This is burnt umber, lilac, a turquoisey color, and lots of white. It's nice! But yeah. And I've tried a bunch of stuff for gouache, but that's been the one winner. I just don't like having to pull out a bulky, huge palette that takes up a lot of space. Yeah, that's annoying. I agree, that's super annoying. The big palettes, I don't know who they made those for. Who has the desk space for those? I've bought a bunch of cheap tins, some decorative ones, gift cards. Gift card tins are awesome for it. Some from Amazon, and I use small silicone molds for wells inside. I'm working on a few design. Oh, that's really cool. Hubby foolishly said, I'd love a 3D printer, but don't know what I'd use it for. No. No. That's dangerous. That's so dangerous. On Tinkercad to possibly start 3D printing. Ooh. My everyday palettes hold 54 half pans, and it's smaller footprint than the standard 2410 with the 2 flap. Whoa, okay. That's a lot of colors though. How do you even sort all that out in your mind? What do you use for mixing too? I use the flat Jackson's palette that comes with the I know the one you mean. The cheap black plastic insert that has room for like 10 colors or something. Oh yeah, the lid is the mixing space. I found that that's often the issue. I don't need a big palette as much as I need a lot of mixing space. I prefer to have a smaller palette and extra mixing space than a large palette of many colors but not enough mixing space. Which is why, you know, the really tiny palette, the metal one, you know, the super small one that you can fit 12 half pans in, but it only has this teeny tiny lid for mixing, and I hate it. I just hate it. Not enough mixing space. Magnets on the pans. Magnets on the paints, and I'm good to go. Yeah. That sounds great. The one that comes in a credit card. The one that comes in a credit card holder is super tempting, but mixing space looks... Yeah, that's why that one, it's the art toolkit. Is that it? They have you know, the small makeup pans that they use in there. You can buy some that have been spray painted with white enamel paint to make extra mixing space. Art toolkit. Yeah, that's it. Art toolkit. The teeny tiny one is so cool. Like it's this big and you have like 12 colors in there. That's kind of cool. But yeah, you can buy the one that is credit card or business card sized, and you have the lid for mixing, and you can have a very limited palette in there and keep a couple of pans for mixing. I plan on bringing it with me on my trip. Oh yeah. I have some 2.5 cm makeup pans, but it's tiny. It is tiny. It is definitely tiny. I have to go back to small brushes. No. No. I'm all about that medium brush. Gotta love a good medium brush that keeps a point. That's like ideal. Thankfully, I tend to paint small. Oh, that's good then. I also don't sketch with paint, which might give me more excuses. Alright. Well, I think I'm gonna end the stream here because I really have to use the bathroom. I've drank way too much tea. And I'm like dancing on my chair and wiggling. So I think it's time for me to, you know. And it's almost 4, so... So when I'm out, pencil and sketchbook is what I actually need, not the backpack full of crap. Well, if what you bring along is enough to fill a backpack, we might have a different problem here. I think my travel painting kit fits into my pencil case. That's always my goal. Like, it has to fit in my pencil case. So it's a teeny tiny palette, a water brush, even if I don't like those, and a sketching pen, an eraser, and a sketching pencil, a pen, and an eraser. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here today. Thank you for your help in, you know, this brain dump situation thing. It's been very helpful, and I hope I can sort of put some order into that and work on more videos soon. That's my goal. All right, so have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you guys have a great week and a great weekend, and we will probably see each other next weekend. Bye bye.